This is Dr. David Eshelman. He's Director of Career and Technical Education. I wanted to talk to you about the civic leadership, Teachers for Tomorrow, and also law and criminal justice. So we're going to start off with Pathway 1 with civic leadership. So Dave, if you'll click to the next one. So you all may want to get out this booklet because it shows a little bit more about, and it's page 11. Anybody need an extra? I got plenty. Yeah, here you go. Here you go. Uh-huh. So what this is a sample of the courses that your child might take for 4 years. So it's a full pathway sequence. You'll see that there is in 9th grade the Center English and the Center World History 1. And that really just means that the students from the center would be grouped into those classes, okay? So what we're trying to do is create a community of learners. We want them to get to know each other and be working with each other over 4 years. And so kind of creating that community that will grow together. Obviously, they'll take a math class and they'll take a science class, world language class, and health and PE. They will have one elective course that they can choose, and then they'll be taking the communication for leadership in public service. And we'll be talking about this course in just a minute. So go to the next slide. So it is very much what it sounds like. So it's going to be a course that's helping them to develop as an effective communicator in life. That's what a leader does, right? They have a lot of communication skills, both oral and in writing. So that is going to include a number of presentations. Will all students be very comfortable with that in the very first year? No, right at the beginning. Absolutely not. We live in a world that is not as orally communicative, and the written communication is a little different than some of the older folks in the room. But we will also be teaching them how to communicate effectively with older folks like myself, right? In emphasizing the need for full sentences and punctuation, but also being very succinct and also delivering a message in a way that is effective and really communicates the whole picture in a short period of time without using too many words. So hopefully I am modeling some of that tonight. But one of the biggest keys to being an effective communicator is also being a very good listener. And so that will be emphasized as well in this course. Now this course is going to be the one that runs through all of the pathways, and they will be required to write and deliver speeches, we'll put that in quotes, but in different formats. And so we're really excited about this course. It is going to open them up and get them more comfortable with the public setting and speaking. Dave? All right, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Eshelman at this point, and he's going to talk a little bit more about criminal justice.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Michael. It's a pleasure to be here and an exciting time in Stafford schools. Anytime you can expand opportunities for students, that's an exciting time. That's why I'm in the profession that I am. So career and technical education, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background. I'm going to talk about two pathways tonight. One is our Teachers for Tomorrow program, where we're preparing students to be teachers. Probably the most important pathway as educators, because we can't really help other industry sectors fill their workforce needs if we don't have teachers. So that's a very important program for us. I'm going to talk about that pathway. And I'm also going to talk about our criminal justice program. But before I do that, just to kind of set the stage a little bit so you know what we're talking about, and we do have other information sessions throughout the next couple of days. Career and technical education is the transition from years ago vocational education, where we really focused our training on a career. Career and technical education really is an approach to address all careers. And in Virginia, not just Stafford County, in Virginia, we adopted a national model. It's a career cluster model. So I want to make sure we're using some of the same terminology as you work with the counseling staff in moving forward as you develop your course selections. So a career cluster, Virginia adopted a 17 career cluster model. All right, and I'm going to talk about criminal justice, and I'll get into that. So right here, it's the law, public safety, corrections, and security career cluster. That's one of the 17 career clusters. So basically, we're taking all the careers that are out there in Virginia, and we're aligning those careers into these 17 clusters. Now, the 17 clusters funnel down into pathways. So that's a good term to understand as we're looking at not just center programs, but program pathways as well. Some of our programs, we're moving from a 2-year or a 3-year program sequence to a 4-year sequence, where students then can transfer to that school for that full experience. So that's a program pathway, okay? So the pathways within criminal justice, you can see are listed there, and it could fall under multiple pathways. So in Virginia, there are 83 pathways. So all those careers funnel from the 17 career clusters into 83 pathways. And then within that pathway, we talk about the different courses. So I'm going to talk about these 2 pathways tonight. So I wanted to give you that background. Career and technical education, what I love about it, I was a career and technical education teacher. I started my career a long time ago in Stafford County teaching, and now here I am working with all the programs in the county, and I love it because it's hands-on. It's application-oriented. It's the opportunity to apply content knowledge gained in other subjects related to elective classes. And that's what students love about the career and technical education. And criminal justice is just the same. It is delivering a lot of content, but there's also a lot of activity associated with it. And that's what students love. You know, we may bring the drug dogs out here on the tennis court and do some activities. We may have a red man suit so we can do some defense activities so you can protect the other person that you're working with. So it's content delivery, but then reinforced through real world examples and real world activities. And that's what our students have given us feedback over time. We actually survey our graduates a year out after high school, and that's been some of the feedback that we've received. So in this program, we're exposing students to a lot of the occupations, which makes sense with what I talked about earlier, within criminal justice. All right, so it's going to talk and give sort of a career exploration to all the different types of careers. And what you see here, the topics within the courses, okay, so within the pathway for criminal justice, there are 2 elective courses, and they are in the junior year and the senior year, okay? So coming here as a rising 9th grader, it's going to take a little bit in the pathway to get to this 2-course sequence in Virginia. And if you went to another school division in Virginia, you're going to see those same courses. But within the courses, the topics include things like functions of government, law enforcement, corrections, crime investigation, and the court system, as well as a criminal behavior and motivation. So like a crime scene situation. So we currently do offer these programs in 2 different high schools, Brook Point High School and in North Stafford High School. So we will be bringing them to Mountain View High School in this process as you get to that junior year and senior year. But as an example, we have a shed outside at the other schools where we can set up crime scene situations for students to be able to do different types of activities related to that content. So it kind of gives you an idea. When I say real world, so it's not just in the classroom, it's going to be out around this school. It's going to be out in the community, going to different trips and experiences and understanding different simulations and things like that. So I wanted to start with that student experience. Now, I know this is small, which this information will be available to you through the website, but that same spreadsheet that you see on my screen, you have in front of you in the brochure. So if you can't see that, I understand that, please make sure you take a look at it on here. What you see here is the program for a student, the courses in the pathway. So the pathway launches, that's how we're deciding how we're going to frame this. So the 9th grade year, it's the launch sequence, and these are the different courses, as Mr. Bowling just mentioned about Center English and Center programs. So you see Center English 9 and Center World History and Algebra 1 or Geometry, Environmental Science, World Language 1, Health and Physical Education, an elective that the student selects themselves. And then we do have in the pathway for criminal justice in that 9th grade launch year, and I apologize, you have my back, my back is to some of you, communication for leadership and public service. You can imagine working for public service. I didn't realize as a police officer how much paperwork they have. They're just as bad as educators. I did a ride along with a police officer when we went through an event and we came out and we're in the car. I'm like, where are we going now? And he's like, well, we got some paperwork to do before we move on to the next scenario. So when you look at the communication aspect, extremely important. So we brought that in under communication for leadership and public service. So that's a new course that we're developing right now for that to be used in the launch year for next year for our rising 9th graders that apply and come to Mountain View High School. Okay, I'm going to look at the next transition, the next 2 years. You're looking at grades 10 and 11. I'm not going to go through all of the content. You do have that in the handout. I want to really pay particular attention to the elective classes. And there's a policy and advocacy and ethics course that also is being developed right now. And you might think policy, well, when you're looking at public service, policy is extremely important, and it's everywhere. Our General Assembly is getting ready to go into another session in January, right? That's when that whole season starts. And you look at the policy from the education side, that's how different bills come forward and how things become law, and then new processes get put into place. Well, it's the same thing in other professions. So we're really going to pay some particular attention and give a good understanding to not only the development, but all the details in between policy development and review and the impact that it has in different programs and careers. All right, so now you get to what I talked about, that 2-course sequence. In the junior year, in that learn sequence, you do have an orange box. You see that orange box that's on there? That means that those classes in that elective sequence, those are required in the pathway. Okay, so if you apply and you're accepted and you accept and you come into this program, you will have to take that. Where we have elective in the grades 9 and 10, that's the student's choice. So there's not much room, but there's a little bit of room in there for student choice. So sociology also, and I have some information in here on that, is a course that's required, extremely important in working with society. I'll give you a little bit more detail in a second. But the criminal justice program, that's where you begin to see our focus. And what Stafford is doing is we're going to have, as you can see in your handout, the first year of Criminal Justice 1 is really going to take a law enforcement focus. All right, and then in the senior year, the Criminal Justice 2 is a law and the justice system. And that's going to take a focus within law and the justice system. So you can see the impact of those first 2 years in the courses in communications for leadership and then policy and advocacy. Okay. Questions with that before I go? All right. All right, so I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. So you saw the pathway. Now I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on the courses. Criminal Justice 1 is a program that explores crime scene investigation, criminal investigation, court procedures, policy. So this course provides the foundation for different careers. Remember I talked about funneling all the careers within that pathway. So some of those are lawyers, forensic specialists, and law enforcement as correction officers. Now, in a school system, I don't care who you hire to teach this class, not everybody knows everything about all these topics. So what is also fundamental for career and technical education is the opportunity to engage the community. And a lot of criminal justice teachers may sometimes be retired police officers, and they have a lot of connections, so they bring in a lot of people to the class. That could be something like an experience. I was in the hallway in a school, and I saw somebody come in. I'm like, that's great. I'm out there talking with somebody. 5 minutes later, they're leaving. After the class, I talked to the teacher. I'm like, what's going on here? This person was here for 5 minutes. Well, that was somebody that he knew that could make a personal connection for the students, to make the learning personal. And that's what that teacher was all about, trying to make things personal. So that meant that they probably need to lean on some of their resources. And some of you sitting right here within your professions may be some of the resources for our teacher here at Mountain View. So I just wanted to give you that little bit of a background, a little bit of a twist. It isn't just about the teacher delivering this content. Career and technical education really does have a need to engage our business community. And none of our programs, if you ever talk to any teacher in CT, they'll tell you the business partners are fundamental. And not just for work-based learning experiences. You may have heard of work-based learning. We'll talk a little bit about that. But it's not just about that. It's about the experiences and to try to make things personal for the student. And sometimes you need some different perspectives. And that's what happens in a program like this. All right, Criminal Justice 2. Students apply the knowledge learned in Criminal Justice 1 through practical scenarios involving crime scene, criminal investigation, and crisis intervention. It's really a fascinating opportunity because you're not just sitting and getting. You do have to receive information and engage in that process, but the application is what I love about this. And I'll tell you this. An advantage of these centers, and you might be coming here thinking, why is Stafford going to these centers? An advantage of the centers is that we're not in a separate building with these elective programs, like you may be in some other places where you have a technical center. We have the programs right here in the school. So the advantage to that is that now these teachers that we have teaching the elective classes, they can integrate their content with other disciplines and relate their content to the SOLs. In fact, that correlation for every CTE program is already done by the state. So that's a phenomenal tool for a teacher coming in to teach a program like this. Now, I always talk about this in any program, any CTE program, as a three-legged stool. All right? The one leg of the stool is the teacher delivering the content. All right? That's one way to deliver the information. A second one I just mentioned earlier was work-based learning. So in this program, we're looking at internships with the community where a student can have an experience through an internship and also meet the additional graduation requirement, by the way, for the high school accreditation that your principal is very focused on. Outside of that, the third leg is probably my most favorite, is a co-curricular organization. So you're here tonight talking about criminal justice teachers for tomorrow, and I'll tell you about that co-curricular organization for teachers for tomorrow in a second. Excuse me. But this aligns with Skills USA. And you might have heard of Skills USA because Stafford has been very successful in a lot of our trades programs where we build a house about every other year right now through our skilled trades programs. And that aligns with Skills USA. But what this is there are regional, state, and national competitions where students can actually compete against other students throughout this region, throughout the Commonwealth, and then across the state, and then at a national conference. We sent students to Skills USA in Atlanta just this past year for a national competition, and we had students place. So that's a fantastic opportunity. It's an organization that provides leadership skills. How about that with this center? And it's an opportunity for students to apply what they learn in the classroom to activities and competitions. It's really that third leg. It's an important leg in Virginia, and it is something that we are really proud of to be able to provide those opportunities to apply that content. All right, I got to move. There's information for you, so when you go to the website, you get this information, you can click on it, and it'll take you and give you all information. So if you want to find out more about Skills USA and and the competitions and what are the competitions, you can find them there. I left that in the slide. Okay, in that pathway, we talked about sociology. It is the introduction to social science, and it includes studies in social change, social status, group behavior, and adjustment to problems and situations in society and throughout life. So just wanted to give you that background. That course you can also find in our program of study. All right, any of these courses you can find in the larger document that has all of our courses and the descriptions for more detail. All right. Criminal justice. I'll stop there for a second. Are there any questions that you can think of right now with criminal justice? Yes, sir.
Quick question. I'm looking at the course for civic leadership and the criminal justice pathways. Most of it is pretty much the same, but my concern is towards the 11th grade year. If a student is, let's say, in the law and criminal justice pathway, they finished the 11th grade and they realized they weren't interested in the criminal justice law enforcement programs and went to the second one, but they realized maybe they're more interested in civic leadership. Is it possible to swap courses, or alternatively, if sociology is an elective course, could they take that as an elective for the civic leadership pathway so they could like double dip into both areas? If that makes sense. It's a loaded question.
I'll jump in there just real quick. So the courses that are in the box, meaning outlined, those are required for that. However, any other elective slot, you can pick up other courses, and some of those may exist in that program. In another program. Mm-hmm.
But I would also add that a lot of the exploration sometimes is you're finding out what you do like, and in some cases you find out what you don't like, and then you make adjustments. But working with the staff in the building, there's opportunities to make changes. Not everyone follows the same pathway, and I think that's an important concept to lay out there. As much as we're trying to guide this as a pathway, sometimes not everyone follows the exact same pathway, and like those electives and different things like that. But in some cases, it's just about finding what you do or what you don't like.
Any question over here?
Oh.
This is more of a general question. It seems like there's only 25 slots in those pathways. If you don't get in the 9th grade, can you try again in future years, or are you just out of luck and you don't get to participate?
Yeah, so the plan is to have late entry for spaces that are available right at this time.
And this is such a transient area as well. We may have people that are coming
may have
in
some spaces.
from another
Sure.
part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay, so there's a chance to enroll every year.
yeah.
For these pathways, are there additional teachers being brought into Mountain View, or is it existing teachers picking up additional classes?
Probably a little bit of both. And so it really depends on the all the endorsements of the teachers. And so your staff right now here at Mountain View is busy looking at endorsements, looking at teacher loads, looking at what courses that we want to offer, and then mapping those to what our needs are in our capacities. You had a question back there?
Yes, so with the law and criminal justice, if you don't get accepted into that, are some of these courses, are you still able to take them? Or is it like you can't do it at all if you don't get accepted?
So there, if space would be available is really the way we would have to approach that.
Mm-hmm. How far can students go before they drop out should they choose to? One, and then is the criminal justice being offered here only or for the school?
So it's currently offered at a couple of other schools for upper level students, 11th and 12th grade students. But now we're going to be bringing it to Mountain View as a part of their program here and within the center, only for the freshmen coming through. So the second part of your question was, can students leave a program? Sure. We're not going to hold them in a program that they don't love or they're not interested in, but just know that if that's not their zoned high school, that they may have to change back to their zoned high school if they leave a program.
For the law and criminal justice pathway, I noticed that, like, for example, the what was up there, that 19th grade there was an elective, and 12th grade there was an elective. What if you're in band or orchestra or chorus? For that 11th grade year, are you not able to take that music elective? Like, are you just out of that for that year?
So with any of these opportunities, there may be some opportunity costs. And so if they have if that is your passion and there aren't openings within your electives that match to those, and Sarah might be able to speak to it a little bit more, then it might be difficult to take those if there's not an elective slot available, depending on the pathway you're talking about.
So our goal is always for students to graduate to meet the requirements of the different diplomas. We have advanced diploma and standard diploma, but when you said that, I was counting because we have 8 slots open during the year. Some students, and I'm not saying this is the ideal answer, but some students may choose to take a summer school course to open up an elective space to take band or a different course that they're very passionate about. But with this law and criminal justice, they have that elective spot where they could take band or orchestra, but then in the 11th and 12th grades, we'll just have to see how everything works together. So there's no hard, fast answer right now, but of course, we want our students to be able to take the electives that they're very passionate about.
You had a question back here?
Yeah, I see the note on the bottom with some of these pathways having to do with advanced placement, dual enrollment, and IB classes. So it's my understanding that none of these classes fall into those categories, that they would have to take an elective, using the example of criminal justice. They would have to take an elective for it to count as a dual enrollment class, for example.
So currently, as far as the criminal justice, that is something I am looking to pursue to try to get dual enrolled.
So that those are dual
it is
enrolled
not.
courses.
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
always looking to expand dual enrollment. As I mentioned, that high school accreditation, that's a lot of other information, but that impacts that accreditation. So we are looking for ways to expand that. In fact, the next pathway I'm going to show you does have the dual enrollment in the elective. Yeah.
So,
But as of now, no.
so
Correct.
right now, we don't have, like, for instance, a teacher at this school that is able to teach dual enrollment. So what we want to do is under-promise now and over-deliver later once we identify it with the community college, get all the details worked out, make sure we have the right teacher in spot, and then we can offer some dual enrollment courses along with these.
Good question. All right, we'll give you a little bit more time to process. I'm going to share the second pathway with you, and then we'll open up for questions after that. This is the Teachers for Tomorrow program, and it is one for students that are interested in teaching, and it falls under that education and training cluster, so I'm not going to go through that. But it is a dual enrolled program, and the beauty of this program, we have some agreements, and if students go through a program, they can actually come back and work for us. So I'll give you some more details on that in a second. Okay, so the Virginia Teachers for Tomorrow does foster this understanding and appreciation for teaching. So it's an opportunity to really get to understand what it's like to possibly be a teacher. And it will look at elementary and secondary. Okay, so you don't have to specialize that. It's a teacher in general for tomorrow program. So this course provides hands-on opportunities to examine careers in education, observe professional practice. Again, the ability to have this program right here in the center, in the school. If you're maybe interested in being a math teacher, which we're going to try to focus on the critical needs areas, special education, math, not just a tech ed program in a CTE area. We're looking at really hard to staff positions, right? And the beauty of this is you could actually have an experience doing some teaching with your mentor that you're working with in the school and with a math teacher, or applying that math with an engineering class. So that's the beauty of having this program right in the school where we have other core teachers. But students will be able to teach lessons, manage classrooms, create learning opportunities, and build their professional portfolio in that process. Again, there are the CTSO opportunities, and it's called Educators Rising for that co-curricular student organization. And again, you have the links there. But again, it's that opportunity for students to compete at the regional, state, and national level. Our partnership, I wanted to highlight this with the University of Mary Washington and Germanna Community College. So with this partnership, students complete the pathway, are eligible to enter Germanna Community College with the first semester of the coursework completed towards a 2-year elementary education program that leads to a 4-year teacher program at UMW, or the students may choose to enter UMW after graduation from Stafford schools. So the last sentence there talks to the dual enrollment that was asked. Students interested in earning the educational degree may transfer these dual enrolled credits to other Virginia colleges and universities. So I want to get into more specifics. If you look at the last paragraph, the dual enrollment program for this program allows a student to earn college credits in high school in the Teachers for Tomorrow 1, so that's 3 credits, and then in the senior year, it would be another 3 credits for the second level. Okay, so high school students experience the profession as they are guided through the history of the education and the functions of schools and school divisions. So you're not just learning about how to be a teacher and how to deliver content, you're also looking at the functions of schools and school divisions and how they operate to give you that background. What a great opportunity to, before you leave high school, to really get a feel for maybe, is this something I'd like to do? Again, the pathway that you have in the handout for you, and you can see the orange box at the bottom with the required courses. So I'm not going to go through all of the courses up above, but in this particular pathway, again, communication for leadership in public service, focusing on communicating with small groups in a classroom or larger groups, extremely important. Psychology is added in the sophomore year, and then you have the dual enrolled Teachers for Tomorrow in grades 11 and the dual enrolled course that we just mentioned in grade 12. Here's the great part of this. Stafford Schools will offer a letter of intent to hire students who successfully complete the Teachers for Tomorrow program and complete a college university education program and are eligible to earn a teaching license. So you would also have to have your Praxis 1 and Praxis 2. And the Praxis 1 is actually a certification that we're going to offer in this program. So a student can actually earn the Praxis 1 before they even leave high school. All right, so they'll also get then an industry recognized credential. Whoop, sorry. Okay, so that's the second pathway, and I have a couple of slides that we may not need to get into. I believe Mr. Bowling presented the information on transportation, the lottery application process, and then our contact information. Should you have any questions after you leave here, you process the email that's here, academicprograms@staffordschools.net would be where you would send that question to, and we will get back with you.
I didn't talk much about was the civic leadership pathway and the community service projects, but they are somewhat self-explanatory. So what the students will be doing is in their 11th grade year is looking at a number of different opportunities and kind of planning their proposal for their service learning project and gathering information and research on that. Then during the 12th grade year, that will become the time that they can get out into the community, do some things, and actually do their action research and share their presentations. Those will be, there will be a large presentation that's a part of it, but this is where they really start to launch their leadership careers. So with that, we wanted to open it up to other questions you had, but first I wanted to ask, how many people are interested in like the civic leadership pathway? How about Teachers for Tomorrow? Okay. And criminal justice? All right, good. All right, what other questions do you all have? Yeah.
Before questions,
Oh,
can I just
sure,
mention something?
certainly.
Right now, we have the Teachers for Tomorrow program here at Mountain View. We have an excellent teacher, but students actually get the opportunity to go into the schools during the second year, and they're working with an elementary school teacher or working with a middle school teacher. So it's that true hands-on experience that is essential for Stafford growing their own teachers, and I think that's wonderful that that's the goal, is for us, for these students to be able to come back, be offered a letter of intent, and be placed somewhere in a middle school, elementary school, or even at the high school. And we have students now that are teaching in Stafford County that have gone through this program. So it's a real positive thing for the student and for Stafford County. So, you know, that's something already in place that we're seeing.
Okay, I know a number of you asked questions before, but do you have any remaining questions that you'd like us to answer? Sure.
So for the Teachers for Tomorrow program, I know you said you work with Indiana and University of Mary Washington, but for students who might want to do William and Mary, do you still feed out to the other Virginia colleges students?
So the dual enrollment, meaning the college course, we develop an agreement with the colleges in order to be able to offer that. So the credit does not come from another institution. It's through the one that we contract with.
So that means you get only get it at UNLV?
Yes.
So if they do, can they do dual enrollment for like your English and math and science in these programs, or is that?
So it depends on the course and about the offerings at the school. And so this is a new program, and we are looking to expand those dual enrollment offerings. And so we're going to offer as many as we can. But those courses, just so you know, they also have to what we call make, meaning there's enough demand to offer the course and have it existing in the school. There are some costs associated with it at this time. I actually do hope that as we move to the future, the General Assembly will likely move towards the direction of reducing significantly the amount of costs for parents for dual enrollment courses in community college. And we're hoping they actually bring it down to zero. So that's what we're hoping for.
So what we find with, and you correct me on this if I'm wrong.
It's okay.
For dual enrollment, there's an agreement with Germanna and Mary Wash. So that's like hard, fast. But let's say your child wants to go to Longwood or go to JMU, which have strong teaching programs. It's really up to the college, those specific, the college that your child decides to attend to, they decide what type of credit's going to be awarded. So, for example, my own child took dual enrollment English here when he was a senior. He went to UVA, and they said, we require our first year students to take our own English. So they didn't give him the English credit, but they gave him elective credit. So some of it is up to the specific college that they attend.
And since your son came through, there has been a slight change.
Yes,
And
yes.
they have developed, it's called the Passport series, where it's a number of courses that are accepted by any four-year college. But I think what Sarah's trying to impart to you is that that credit may not count the same in every single institution, meaning some may award credit for, an elective credit versus maybe the English 9 credit, or English 11 credit. But so we can dive into the details of that certainly as we get closer on. We'll have information sessions that provide lots of detail as you get closer to those courses. Yes, ma'am.
I have two questions, actually. He's interested in the Teachers for Tomorrow program. Now, does that include special education?
Yes.
Okay, because that's what he's interested
So since they don't come out with an endorsement, to teach, but what we'll be doing is providing the groundwork for them to teach in any area.
But we're really excited to try to get the hard-to-staff positions,
Right, absolutely.
which that is for school
I just
systems.
was making sure that it included
Yeah.
special education.
And you had a second question.
And then, for him, he would be entering this as an 11th grader. Is that still, or is it only for people coming in their 9th grade?
So it's a separate application for rising 11th graders.
Okay.
And so in the application system, you'll see one that's available. You won't be able to apply, you won't see an option that you're not allowed to apply for.
Okay.
So just so you know that. So you'll look for Teachers for Tomorrow.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes.
What happens if your pathway is only selecting 25 students by lottery? Suppose 50 or 75 kids apply. What happens to the rest of the students?
So we would encourage students to apply for multiple pathways in multiple centers, just so that you have a backup plan. But there is no guarantee that everyone gets a slot, just like we can't even offer that now, even without a lottery system. But typically, if demand increases, we may be able to offer additional slots. So for instance, I took a poll about civic leadership, and I said, oh, there's not too many people interested in that. So we may end up adjusting how many seats we open up. And that's one thing I put in the kind of the large slides out here, was that the demand may drive, this is new, and we don't have all the answers. So we based it on what we thought, but we're going to just like anything, you have to go with the flow, and if we have low interest here, then we may shift our demands to another area.
So what does the application process look like? Does it include letters of recommendation?
Nope.
Or just
Nope.
submit your name?
You submit your name. So a guardian of some sort has to set up an account, and then they add in the student's ID number and their address. It finds the student, and it provides them with the options that they have, and they select their interest and press submit. It's a pretty simple process.
And if we're coming from like a private school, you don't have student ID number, how does?
It will ask you if you are, so it will ask you a number of questions. It'll say, are you do you know your student number? And then if you say no, then it'll give you another option. So it's very self-explanatory as you move through for homeschool and private school students.
On the division website, I would add under the resources, there's a video there that actually walks you through the process as well.
Yeah, there's a video. Yeah. Did you scan the barcode up here? Yeah. So that will take you to the page that will, it has videos. It also says what's available to which student at which grade level. There's a matrix that explains it all. You had a question?
Yeah, I have a few questions. One is to piggyback off what she said earlier. Let's say 9th grade, your student doesn't get selected. 10th grade, there's more open slots. Is it possible to join in as they progress through high school? And if they can, how does that affect the fact that they weren't able to take that first required course in 9th grade?
We're working on the answer to that. So what I don't want to do is tell you that it's not an option. What I'm trying to do is find a way to make it possible. So right now, I'm going to tell you that I'm committing to trying to provide opportunities for students that decide later on that they are interested. I can't guarantee it right this minute because I don't know exactly how many students are going to take us up on these offers. But I can tell you that if space is available and the students, so some of these courses can be taken, it depends on the pathway, but We could potentially determine that this course could be an optional one that we come in at the 10th grade level and still let students in the program, because we do want to have full classrooms. You know, we want to make sure that we're offering it.
If you were to do that, would you give priority to the students that maybe put in for it at 9th grade and didn't get the option or win the lottery? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do understand your question. And since we're deeply in a hypothetical situation right here, and I have a new application system that I'm learning. I'm running it, but I will tell you I don't know all the ins and outs. But I don't know if there's a mechanism to track that, to make sure that that's possible. I will ask my handler, the guy who's walking me through the process of learning the software. Yes.
What if our students are interested in one of the ones that won't open until next year? So they'll be a 10th grader and they want to do the business one.
Right. So
What happens then? Do they have to compete against all the rising 9th graders?
So, for instance, we have a Cyber 4 Plus program that we do take a space available application in grade 10 for that program. If the student took ITF, it's Information Technology Fundamentals, in the 9th grade year, and that course is offered at every school. And so you could still take that course, for instance, and then come in at the 10th grade level if space is available in that program. But as of for next year, that will be for rising 9th graders only in that first year of the center. That's correct, right. I wish we could open them all at one time, but we don't have ooh, that would make me sleep even less at night. What's that?
It's like 25 spots and however many thousands of freshmen that were coming in, you know? It seems, that's what I was kind of asking. If they didn't get offered in 9th grade and they were going to 10th grade, there's only 25 spots.
But we have a lot of opportunities out there. So, for instance, we'll be for the ATI UMW, we're probably going to be looking at 46 to 50 seats for that program. CGS has 90 seats as freshmen. We have 4 pathways in this. So there are so many options now that I think that if you select the 4 that you're allowed to apply for, then you're likely to get one of them.
I'll give you another example. This school is one of 3 that also has culinary arts. So we're moving that from a 3-year pathway to a 4-year pathway by bringing in nutrition and wellness in grade 9. So as we're bringing in a cohort of 20 there, that has to be capped because of OSHA requirements. But it's not just the 20 here, it's 20 at another school and 20 at another school. So there's those scenarios
22
as well.
per location.
Right.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Just to make sure my understanding is
Sure.
correct. So the students pick the 4 options, and then Commonwealth Governor School is an additional option,
Yes.
right? So, okay.
And the ATI UMW is also an additional option.
Okay. So you essentially could pick your 4 and then apply for CGS and the ATI?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So up to 6 slots for a rising, opportunities for a rising 9th grade student.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
In the last session, when they had the big general assembly, they mentioned that the DE courses could be a double-edged sword in the sense that it's great because you get the college credit, but because now you're an actual college student, there was a potential to go, like let's say you don't do great in class, you could end up going into college with a bad grade as a freshman. So if it's a situation where the student doesn't want that pressure, is there a non-dual enrollment course available?
I think typically there will be dual enrollment, non-dual enrollment opportunities, except for very specific courses, right? Teachers for Tomorrow is dual enrollment.
Okay, so it's just,
Yeah.
okay.
So that is something to consider, yeah.
And then I think you mentioned earlier, if I understood correctly, some of the center classes, like the center English, you mentioned would be, it's still the English class, but more focused towards whatever pathway you take. Is there a possibility where a student might be missing out on other perspectives or what maybe the general English class would teach because they were so focused on, let's say, English 12 for, civic-minded students, and then would it interfere with how they deal with other English classes, or?
So the scenario that you're posing is really one that is possible in any class that anybody takes at any time. We all have passions and interests, and we all teach the same class in different ways with different points of emphasis, although we all teach a basic core amount of content. So how we apply things, the types of papers and options or books that we read, are choices that a professional educator makes every day. So I don't see that as a negative. I one time walked in college, I walked into a sociology class, and I promise you this happened. I walked into the sociology class, and the guy said, "My name is so-and-so," and he said, "And I'm teaching sociology from a Marxist perspective." And I went, "Oh, interesting, let's go." But, so I still learned a lot. We're not teaching Marxism, however, I will tell you that's, teachers make professional judgments and decisions every day about the content that's in their classes, and on the whole, they make incredible decisions that really influence kids. And it's largely reflective of what the students in the class really want or are interested in. Well, at this point, we'll just wrap it up. We'll be here to answer individual questions that you might have, but thank you so much for your interest. Thank you for coming, and please apply. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care. Yeah, thanks a lot. Take care. See you all.